Hello and welcome to this web short. And today we're going to talk about flow elements, talk about setting them up, editing, designing them, probably a few things you didn't know you could do with flow elements. So real quick, what is a flow element? So a flow element allows you to flow your portraits and the names of those portraits onto the page without having to place them on there one at a time and naming them one at a time. So here under flow, you will see that we have 6 different flow elements that you can choose from. You can click and hold, drag one over. Here you see that we have one with the names on the left. We have the one with the names on the right. We also have ones with the names next to each and every image, the names below, the names above. So we're going to bring out 2 different ones to kind of show you. First off, some of these flow elements will have more images to start out with versus others. It's just because the way that they are set up or the way that they're spaced by default, by tradition. The one on the left, a lot of people use that just because the names are on one side. You can put all the images here and it's a lot easier. One over here on the right has become a little bit popular because it puts the names underneath each child instead of having to look like, okay, this is the third one in, let me look at the third name, oh, it's that child. So some of the things that you can do is you can actually set these up to be a little different. So we're going to go off the fact that maybe you have 20 students or 25 students in your class. So first off on the left, you're going to see that that's way more than what you're probably going to need if you have 20 to 25 students in your class. To fix this, we're going to click on this and you will see that a toolbar opens up right above the page. If we click off of it, toolbar goes away. Click back on this, there's the toolbar. This toolbar, very simple. Here it has your font. You can change the fonts of the names. You can change the font size, the font coloring. This is very important because right off the bat, you can see that here we have dark colored names over a dark background. It's very hard to see. In some cases, may get your book kicked back to say, hey, we can't read the names. Here you can click the down arrow, come over here, find a color that will work or that will stand out against this background, and you can use it. Next is the stroke style. If you want, you can add a outline to the page, and you can actually increase the thickness of that outline. If you don't want that line in there anymore, just come up to 0 point, click on that, line goes away. Here we can bold, italic, or underline all the names if we want. Next is probably the most important part of this toolbar. This is your flow options. So we're going to click right here. First thing we're going to do is uncheck automatic. The reason why we want to do that is as we start eliminating rows, you can see those boxes are starting to stretch. By unchecking automatic, when we start eliminating rows, you can see that the boxes stay the same size. The only thing that's changing is the number of rows. Next is your rows and columns. You can adjust the number of rows, number of columns, the width and the height. This comes into play more with the one on the right than it does this one right here. Portrait spacing, this is between the columns and between the rows. Portrait shape, here you can change the shape if you want. Rounded corners, rectangle are the only ones that you can round the corners on, so you can give it just a little more of a different look. So if we need these names on the right, we can come over here. Currently it's names on left horizontal, click that, and then you will see that names on the right horizontal. You can also change it to any one of these as well. So if you want it to look like the one on the left, you just go names below, and the names are below, but you'll see that there's red. That just means we need some extra work, such as reducing the number of rows. Come over here to vertical and change that. By just clicking up once, we get rid of that red X. That red X means that the text box is smaller than what is written in there. We could just change that real quick. So to set this up for the 20 to 25 students, we're going to come over here to the category. Then we're coming down to the start stop. This is your page start and your page stop. So what page you want to flow to. We're going to come over here and change that to 14 and then 14. Currently in red, you're going to see that it's 35 positions available and there's 44 students. So we're going to hit the save button, go over to our category. We're going to select the teacher that we want to flow here. Our start and stop is page. So we're going to start on page 14, stop on page 14. And then we're going to see that 35 positions are available. Now, if you select a class that has a few more extra students like this one right here, has 44 images in it, it will turn red. So you're going to have to adjust this, bring in more boxes on another page or something. So we're going to go back to the class that we're going to flow on here. So here we have, it's telling us we have 35 available positions, but 25 images. So we don't need some of these boxes. So we're going to go back over here to flow options, push our little pin right there, which we can now move that over there. Okay, we may eliminate one column. You can click inside that box, change that to a 5, make that a little bit wider, change this to maybe 8P0, make the boxes a little bit taller. Maybe we want to add a little more spacing in between them, so we can change that 3 to an 8, change this 3 to an 8. So there we go. These flow elements are spaced out just a little bit more. Now if we count some of these and we notice that we have 30 positions, 25, so we don't need 5 of these boxes. But here's where we can get actually a little bit creative. We can actually double click on these. Here we have an eye in the upper right hand corner of each one. We can actually click those off, turn these boxes off, and then here we can create a little bit of a design. We can also come up here and maybe turn these two off and kind of change things up just a little bit. So once we float the class, we cannot change the font size, the font coloring, anything on here until after we reset the class. So we just come down here to reset, click on reset. Now with the boxes empty, we can click on those and we can actually start changing things. We can say, well, we don't want the names italic anymore, or we don't want them bold anymore, or we don't want them this color. We actually want them on this color. So for these right here on the left, if we have another class we're going to flow on here, you will see that we're going to see that we only have 16 available positions. So we're going to click on these, come up here to our flow options, click on this little thumbtack, and that will pin it to the page, and we can move that over and take a look at all this. So we can see that the number of rows and columns are 4 and 4. We want to check that. But we can't add anything. So we have to come down here because some of these flow elements, we have to change the width and the height before we can start adding rows and columns. So here, if we want to add a column, we can see, nope, we need to reduce the width just a little bit more. Then we can come back up, add a column to check to see where we're at. All right, so now we're up to 20 positions. The vertical spacing, we can drop that down by 1. We may be able to drop the width and the height by 1. Okay, so we had to drop the width by 1, and then maybe we can add another column. Then we can save. We're up to 24 positions. And sometimes with these flow elements, it's a lot of going back and forth with the height and the width. So here we were able to add just one more column. We get saved. Now we're at the total that we need. You can come back up to a vertical, and let's go 5, so we can kind of stretch this out and get a little bit closer to this bar right here, kind of take up some of that space. Then once we're happy, we can move that, come over to flow, and there we go. We can flow our class over there. Any blank spots right here can be filled in with the clip art. And so this is how to set up, edit, and maybe add a little bit of design to your flow element. Thank you for watching.